Now, there's a growing debate in Britain around the need to educate youngsters in the African and Afro-Caribbean communities about the dangers of gun and knife crime. And the point was underscored a few days ago when 15-year-old Shirika Marsh was shot dead in East London. A teenage boy has been charged with her murder. Well, I'm joined in the studio by Duro Oye, who's the founder of the 2020 Change Foundation, which is set up to help young men affected by gang culture to establish a life away from crime. A very good morning to you.
Good morning.
The reasons for this are very complicated, but from your experience, what do you think draws young people into the gang culture?
What I would say is the easy, fast money, quick money, and what they see around them. A lot of people like to say that young people are a product of their environment. So if you have a young person that's growing up on a council estate and his mum's working 18-hour days, 20-hour days, and he's looking out of his window and all he's seeing is a drug dealer that has the flashy car, that has the big chains, has the respect from the females, has the respect of the community. That's who he wants to be like. That's his first kind of role model, because they have the quick money that their parents don't actually have.
I mean, a long time ago, you yourself were a member of a gang, so were those the reasons that drew you into that culture?
For me, I would say yes. For me, I wanted more than the life that I was actually living at that present moment in time. And I looked around, I looked at my surroundings, and I decided that I didn't want to live like this. And I saw people that were within my same environment, that were living a better lifestyle than I was, and they had things that they wanted. They had things at a click of a finger. If you wanted to go out and buy this, they could do that. So that was one of the reasons why I got involved in it. It's just literally to be able to live a better life.
But obviously, things have changed now. You've left that behind. But I mean, the introduction there, talking about it as something which is happening in the Afro-Caribbean community, but is that really fair? Because it does appear to be more widespread. It hasn't just taken root in one section of the community.
No, it's not. It is a widespread problem because the media, I think the media likes to focus on it being an Afro-Caribbean problem, and the statistics that we kind of see, about 51%, 53% of gang members are from the Afro-Caribbean background. But what about that? What about the other, what is it, 47%?
47%.
That's a large number, but we don't really focus on that too much. We mostly focus on the Afro-Caribbean problem. It is an Afro-Caribbean problem to a certain extent because that's what's been pushed out by the mainstream media. And in terms of what we can do about that is train up our children better, to show them the values that our parents kind of brought us up with. I think that's kind of been lost along the way.
And why has that happened? Because for many of these youngsters, their parents would never have got involved in these things when they were teenagers, and obviously they would have instilled that in their own kids. But something's happened. If
you would expect them to have instilled that in their own kids, but in today's generation we don't see too much of that anymore because parents are not really around for their kids as much as they were back when I was growing up, should I say. Parents are working longer hours, they're not spending enough time with their children, their children are being left to fend for themselves.
But I suppose there's a danger of actually blaming parents, basically saying you are bad parents and this is why your children have turned out to be delinquents, whatever.
People like to say that. I wouldn't necessarily just point the finger at the parents, because some parents, or majority of the parents of real fully fledged gang members actually did bring them up correctly. A lot of my friends that I used to hang around with were brought up from healthy backgrounds. We had strong parents, strong family values, but we still ended up going the wrong way because we wanted more than they were able to offer us.
But what is the solution then, where on the one hand you can address the problem without making parents feel guilty, or at the same time without telling them, well, this is how you should be a parent, in other words, acting like a member of a nanny state?
We say, what is the solution? It's easy when you start treating young people as individuals, when you stop looking at them and stop labeling them as a gang member. Every gang member is different. Every gang member has a different reason for joining a gang. Majority, what we found from our research is people join gangs so that they're not victims. So they start doing the victimizing. So they don't want to become a victim, so they start doing the victimizing. But then if you treat this young person as an individual, and that can happen from family background, from the community, teachers have a major part to play in it as well. So it's not just one person, even though this young person came from this household. It's not just the responsibility of the household to raise that child. You have teachers, you have social workers, you have the community, you even have the police, the government, everybody has a part to play.
Now, I know that time is running very tight, but mentoring is very important to your organisation. And you launched a pilot programme to mentor 6 young men from troubled backgrounds. So what's happened? What are the results?
Okay, the results, we're actually very pleased to speak about this. The Goldmine programme is a pilot that we ran for 12 weeks, and we got 6 young black men from different backgrounds. 2 of them were actually hardcore gang members that had actually been in prison and were released and obviously couldn't find any work, didn't have any GCSEs or any experience or whatever. So we took them under our wing, and we had another 2 that were actually university graduates. They actually came out, but you know, they thought if they followed the normal path, go to school, get the grades, come out, and there'll be a job waiting for them. That didn't happen. And then the other 2 had never actually been to university, but they were just involved in petty crime. So we put them on our program, we trained them up, we literally helped them explore the different values, explore the different treasures within them, and draw out the good things from the bad experiences that they've had. Now, the results from the program, after the 12 weeks, the 2 that couldn't find work are now working. One of them is actually working in retail, and within 3 months, I think he was promoted to assistant manager. The other 2 that had actually just come out from prison, one of them is actually starting his own business, he's starting his one's cab firm. The other one's currently a student at university at the moment, studying business. And then we have the last 2 that were actually university graduates. One of them is an actor at the moment, and then the other one's also working full-time in a catering firm.
Right, so it's what's called a good result. Duro Oye, we'll leave it there, but thank you so much for joining us and telling us about the work of your foundation.
Thank you very much for
You're watching This Day Live here on Arise News.